All right, deputies, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Deputies, can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir, I sure can. All right, I'm ready if you all are.
We're ready. We can barely see. It's kind of dark though.
Uh, Not sure how I'm gonna get that. May just be the lighting. Let me see. Yeah, that's. I'm not exactly sure why that's doing that. I've got it all the way up. I'm underneath the light. Well, if we have a trouble, let me know if we're still having a problem, and I'll maybe move to another room. Okay.
Okay, we're fine.
All right. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is 11:01 this morning. This is the Clayton County Magistrate Court first appearance here this morning. My name is Judge Marcus Thorpe, and I am one of the associate magistrate judges here in Clayton County. Ladies and gentlemen, let me first begin by just letting you know, each of you, a few things here. You are here because Clayton County and ostensibly the state of Georgia is charging you with specific crimes that I will advise you of today. Now, these are just charges, and so you have not been convicted of anything that we will discuss this morning. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me reiterate, or not reiterate, but tell you first and foremost, this is not your trial. That is very important because this is being recorded. There are a multitude of witnesses around that can and will testify against you if it becomes necessary at trial. We are here this morning to discuss what you are charged with, what your bond is, whether there are any special conditions on your bond. We are not here to discuss your case itself, whether you are guilty or not, whether there is enough evidence to move forward against you or not. So if you start to discuss those things with me, I will stop you. And so the best thing that I can suggest to each of you, ladies and gentlemen, is not to discuss your case with me at all. Again, charges only, bond, special conditions. Now, as I noted, I am going to discuss with you what each of you are charged with. I will then tell you how much your bond is for each charge and what your total bond is. I will then tell you if there are any special conditions. What I mean by that as special conditions would be things such as you being not being allowed to go to a certain place or not being able to have contact with a certain person. And so the example that I like to use is if you're charged with battery or aggravated assault, you will likely have special conditions, which means you are not to have contact with the person that you allegedly assaulted. You are not to go to the address where that person lives that you allegedly assaulted. And so as you come up before me, I will tell you whether or not you have those conditions. I strongly suggest, ladies and gentlemen, that you listen and abide by the conditions I give you. Because if you fail to do so, you subject yourself to new felony charges as well as a fine of up to $10,000 for violating the special conditions I'm imposing this morning. Now, as I mentioned, I am going to talk to you also about your bond. There are three ways to make your bond once I give you the amount. You can pay the entirety of it in cash or credit card, or you can use a bonding company. If you use a bonding company, the bonding company typically will require that you have any amount up to between 10% or 15% of that bond. And so again, let's use the example of the aggravated assault. If I tell you your bond is $6,000, then you, the defendant, would have to come up with between $600 to roughly $800, and the bonding company would take the remainder of it to put up your bond. Now, they ensure by doing so that you will come to all your court dates. And so if you do use a bonding company, remember, one, you're required to attend all court dates, as you should anyway. But more importantly, two, that is a non-refundable amount, so you don't get that back. So again, the first way is to pay it all up front. The second way is to use a bonding company. And then the third way to make bond would be the use of a property bond. Now, what that means is you or someone you know would have to get the title to a piece of property they own, and then they would bring that deed to the property down to the sheriff's office, where the sheriff would hold on to it until your case is closed. The kicker, however, is that you or that person must have 3 times the amount of your bond in equity. So if you have a house, a commercial piece of property, and that property is worth $18,000, because remember, you got to have 3 times worth. So our example we've been talking about, the aggravated assault, your bond is $6,000. You or someone you know would have to have a piece of property with at least 3 times, which would be $18,000 in equity on that piece of property. Okay? And so they would bring that deed down. give it to the sheriff's office, and they would hold it until your case closes. Also, please remember, however, if you intend to have someone bring money down for you or bring a piece of property deed down for you, it cannot be the person whom I'm going to impose a condition against. So if the alleged victim is someone you're still wanting to have contact with, one, you shouldn't be, because I'm going to put in a condition. But more importantly, if you violate that and they come down here, you're secondly going to be in trouble for that. So they should not be coming down to try to post bond for you, he or she, if they are the alleged victim, and I impose a special condition against them. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are several rights that you as a defendant have. You have a right to a jury trial if you are going to be indicted or accused. You have the right to remain silent because anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to a hearing, and you have a right to subpoena witnesses on your behalf to appear before that hearing as well. Now, lastly, among the things that we're going to discuss, if you are charged with a misdemeanor, you have a right to what is called a preliminary hearing. If you are charged with a felony, you automatically get that right. But if you're charged with the misdemeanor, I'm going to ask you this morning, do you want to have your preliminary hearing or do you want to waive it? The reason that I'm asking you that, ladies and gentlemen, is because a preliminary hearing is, again, not your trial, but that preliminary hearing is where the police officer will be there, a judge will be there, you and your attorney will be there, and the officer has to present evidence, enough evidence such that the judge believes they can move forward and they can charge you formally. If you are charged with a misdemeanor, you don't have to have that hearing. You can tell me, Judge, I want to waive that hearing and I want you to go ahead and move my case forward to the solicitor's office. The biggest difference between having that hearing and not having that hearing is probably when you don't have it, it does move a little quicker to the prosecutor. If you happen to bond out, whether you are charged with a felony or a misdemeanor, you automatically waive that right to the hearing, okay? So preliminary hearing, if you're charged with a misdemeanor, I will ask you about. You have a right to have it or waive it. If you get out, whether you have a felony or misdemeanor charge, you will automatically waive that right to that hearing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this time I'm going to swear everybody in. So if you would, can I please have everybody raise your right hand? Do you all swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth? So help you God. And if you do, say I do. All right. All right, Deputy, we're going to have the ladies up first, if I could, please. And we will start with Miss Harriet Brown.
Everybody else? We have the next.
All right, Deputy, if you want to just adjust it kind of to your, I guess it's to your left so I can see Miss Brown. All right. Are you Miss Brown?
Yes, I'm Miss Brown.
Miss Brown, here you are charged with 1 count of driving with a suspended license and 1 count of distracted driving. Ma'am, we have reviewed your warrant here this morning. You are going to be released this morning. Now, that does not mean, however, that your case is going away, ma'am. It just means that you will be released here pending the outcome of your case. Do you understand that?
Yes,
ma'am?
sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, I need you to remember, I am going to, a couple things. One, I am going to appoint you counsel this morning. And because you're being released this morning, I'm going to need you to sign a waiver form, okay? And then lastly, because you're being released as well, it's important that whatever address they have on file for you in the sheriff's office is your most recent address, okay?
Okay. Yes,
Good
sir.
luck with you, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next up, I have Seneca Colbert. Seneca Colbert.
Can we do all the females for us, a male?
Oh, that's a male. Oh, I'm sorry. I had it as a, okay, excuse me. Is it next up Shania Hines? Is that who you have, officer?
Yeah. Do we have an interpreter today?
I'm gonna do all those at the end.
Okay.
Miss Espinoza, yes, she'll be at the end. All interpreters I do last usually. Are you Miss Hines?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Miss Hines, you're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass and 1 count of cruelty in the 3rd degree. The 1 count of trespass carries a bond of $3,500. The 1 count of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree also is going to carry a bond of $3,500. Ma'am, you do have special conditions, and that's to stay away from the alleged victim, Carrie McFadden, and also the address of 1427 Sunnybrook Drive. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am. So I am reviewing your sheet as with regards to whether you're going to be appointed a lawyer. I am going to go ahead and appoint you a lawyer this morning. Now, let me ask you, do you believe you'll be able to make bond, ma'am?
I believe so.
Okay. And then lastly, I talked about the preliminary hearing. Would you like to have your hearing, ma'am, or waive your hearing?
I have it.
Okay, so ma'am, your preliminary hearing date is going to be, and again, this is if you don't make bond, December 12th of 2023, and that's gonna be 8:30 a.m., and that's gonna be via Zoom, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am, do you have any questions for me?
If there were, the hearing, is that where I can drop the charges or discuss?
Well, that's where the officer will review it with the judge, and you'll be able to have them consider whether to go forward with the charges or not.
Yes, sir.
All right, good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next up should be Miss Lakeisha Mosley, Mosley.
Good morning.
Good morning. Are you Miss Mosley?
Yes, sir.
Miss Mosley, you're charged with 1 count of aggravated battery. Your bond amount is $25,000. You do have special conditions, ma'am, and that's to stay away from the alleged victim, Miss Kira Cook, and to also stay away from the address of 664 Riverbend Drive. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. I didn't hear what the bond was. I'm sorry.
25,000.
Okay.
Okay. Now, your next court date, ma'am, because you're charged with a felony, is going to be your preliminary hearing date of 12/13/23, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right, and I have appointed you a lawyer who will be able to assist you on your case, ma'am. So if you don't have any other questions with me, that's all I have, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Next up, I have Latasha Deshauna Norrington. Are you Miss Norrington?
I am.
Miss Norrington, you were charged with 1 count of driving under the influence and 1 count of a stop sign violation, ma'am. The driving under the influence count carries with it a bond amount of $10,000. The stop sign violation I have dismissed. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Now, because you're charged with a misdemeanor, you do have a right to your preliminary hearing, or you can waive that hearing that I discussed earlier. How would you like to proceed, ma'am?
May I have it, please?
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and assign you your preliminary hearing date, ma'am, and that's going to be December 12th at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you have any questions about anything, ma'am?
Sir?
Ma'am?
No, sir.
Ma'am, so that is all I have for you then. Good luck to you. Next up, it should be Estella Osorio, Osorio.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Are you Miss Osorio? All right, give me 1 second, ma'am. I just need to get all your paperwork here. All right, so Miss Osorio, you are charged with you have 4 charges here. The first is battery. That carries a bond of $3,500. And then you have 3 counts of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. And each count has a bond amount of $3,500. So your total bond amount, ma'am, is $14,000. You do have special conditions. And the first is to stay away from the alleged victim, a Demetrius Placencio, and to also stay away from the address of 2369 Talmadge Road, Lot 29. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Lastly, I have reviewed your documents, ma'am. I am going to go ahead and appoint you a lawyer here this morning. As far as the preliminary hearing, ma'am, how would you like to proceed? Would you like to have your hearing or waive your hearing?
I'd like to have it.
All right. So I am going to set your hearing date, ma'am, because you're charged with a misdemeanor. It's going to be December 12th of this year at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any questions about anything, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Shani White.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. White. Ms. White, you are charged with 1 count of battery family violence. Ms. White, I am going to add a special condition for you, and that's to stay away from Sabri White, S-A-B-R-E, last name is White.
Yes,
Your
sir.
bond amount is $3,500, and you're also to stay away from the address of 169 Pear Tree Terrace. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
I have gone ahead and appointed you a court-appointed lawyer here this morning. Do you think you'll be able to make that $3,500 bond?
I should, maybe.
Okay. Then lastly, the last question I have for you is whether or not you would like to have your preliminary hearing that I discussed earlier. What are your thoughts on that, ma'am?
Can you explain to me, because I've never been locked up.
Yes, ma'am. So what I was explaining earlier is that when you're charged with a misdemeanor, you have a right to have that preliminary hearing or you have a right to waive it. The hearing is not your trial. But it comes after this first appearance in about, you got about 30 days, whereupon you would be there, your attorney would be there, and the police would be there. That is an opportunity for the judge to listen to the evidence against you and determine if there is enough evidence to go forward and have the prosecutor formally and officially charge you, okay? So you can have it, and if you don't make bond, of course, you'll have that hearing and they'll make that determination. Or you can waive it, which means I send your case directly to the prosecutor and you skip over that. So it does move a little quicker. The second thing you need to remember is if you make bond like you believe you do, you automatically waive your right to that hearing as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how would you like to proceed, ma'am?
I guess I'll do the part that you said, waive it or something. I don't know. I've never been to jail, so I don't know how.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I don't want you to miss out on something in case just because you are a little confused about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and set it for you just in
I'm
case.
sorry.
It's okay. No, don't apologize. So let me go ahead and set it for you on 12/12. It's gonna be December 12th. But remember, if you make bond, you won't have that hearing anyway. If you're still in, I've set you down for December 12th at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom, okay?
Yes, sir.
And the only other thing I'll tell you, Ms. White, if you make bond, please remember, we've got to have that correct address on you so we make sure that you get your court dates moving forward, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, good luck to you, ma'am. All right, that should be all of the female deputies except for those that speak Spanish, correct?
Correct.
All right, so I'm gonna get through the gentlemen, then we'll do all of them together because I know we've got a male that needs an interpreter as well.
Yeah, then they're gonna bring you out last. Sure, understand. Okay.
Next up should be Mr. Xavier Allen for the males.
Right, pretty much.
We're in order, so you ain't gonna be next.
Hey, Mr. Allen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Mr. Allen, you're charged with one count of speeding that carries a bond amount of 2,500 speeding restrictions. You're charged with one count of reckless driving, a bond amount of 2,000. You're charged with improper turn with a bond amount of 500, DUI less safe with a bond amount of 5,000. You're charged with open container, a bond amount of 500. You're charged with driving a suspended license with a bond amount of 500. You're charged with distracted driving with a bond amount of 500. And then you're charged with possession of marijuana over an ounce, possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime, and theft by receiving. The possession of marijuana and the possession of a weapon carry a bond amount of 10,000, and the theft by receiving carries a bond amount of 4,000. So your total amount in bond, sir, if you give me one moment, will be. It's going to be $34,000 is your total bond. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, because you're charged with a felony, your upcoming court date is going to be December 13th of 2023, and that's going to be 8:30 a.m. I've reviewed the information that you wrote down for us here, whether you qualify a court-appointed attorney or not. You do qualify, sir, so I have appointed an attorney to assist you on your case, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir, that's all I have for you. Good luck to you. Next up is Mr. Lamar Baker.
Baker?
Yes, I have.
I got it. Hold on now. Baker.
And then after that, it should be Brandon Banks.
Baker.
Good morning, Judge. Was there any females that waived?
I did have some. I think so those signature bonds are automatically going to waive. So I had Harriet Brown was one. Let me see here. I believe she might have been it because most people asked for their hearing. Let me go through them all here.
That's to your right so you can see.
And then there, come up to the right, first. Come over to the right and they can see on that camera.
Looks like she was.
She was the only one.
Yep, she's the only one.
Thank you, sir.
Hey,
Yes,
y'all,
ma'am.
right here, y'all
All
going
right,
back.
are you Mr. Baker?
Yes, sir.
First set of elevators.
Mr. Baker, you're charged with one count of violation of Georgia Controlled Substances Act. Your bond amount is $3,500. You're charged with one count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Your bond amount is $8,000. You're also charged with another second count of VGCSA. Your bond amount is $3,500. You're charged with one count of open container with a bond amount of $250. You're charged with one count of tinted window, a bond amount of $250. And then your last charge is possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime. I have reviewed that, sir, and based on the allegations in your criminal history, I am at this point denying you bond on that charge. So you got 2 court dates that are going to be coming up for you here. Your first is going to be your preliminary hearing, and that's going to be December 13th of 2023 at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. And then you're also going to have a bond hearing where you'll be allowed for them to review this bond and determine if they're going to modify it in any way. That'll also be at 8:30 a.m. on the 15th of December at 8:30 via Zoom. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, so are you working right now, sir?
No, I'm self-employed. I breathe French and I do, and I own a college.
And about how much do you earn per month, sir?
3,000.
Okay, do you have any children?
Yes, sir.
Are you married?
No, sir.
Okay, are you taking care of those children with your mother, with the child's mother?
Yes, I'm co-parent with both.
Okay, so based on what you've provided to me, sir, you do not qualify for a court-appointed attorney. So for the purposes of this case, sir, you will have to hire your own attorney. Do you understand?
Sir.
All right, do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
All right, sir, that's all I have for you then. Good luck to you. Next up should be Brandon Banks.
Seven, sir. Just stand by the brown door. You know what 7 is?
Are you Mr. Banks?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Banks, you're charged with one count of theft by conversion. Your bond amount is $5,000. Based on the information you provided, have gone ahead and appointed you a lawyer here this morning. Sir, do you believe you'll be able to make bond?
Yes, sir.
All right. So because you're charged with a felony, I have gone ahead and given you your following date, court date. So if for some reason you don't make your bond, your next court date is going to be your preliminary hearing of 12/13/2023 at 8:30 a.m. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about anything, sir?
No, sir.
All right, that's all I have, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Next up is Wesley Brown.
There's mine back and all of them.
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Brown, I understand that you are a veteran of the military. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Brown, you're going to go into a program that we have here called the Veterans Court. So I want to advise you that you are charged with one count of false name. Your current bond is $1,500, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, I want to note this just in case. Did you hear what I said about a preliminary hearing?
Yes, sir.
Did you want to have that hearing or waive that hearing, sir?
Wait, sir.
All right, I'm gonna put down waiver, but I do need to let you know that I've sent your information over. And so you will be contacted from someone with regards to our program, okay? Here in Clayton County.
Yes, sir.
All right, good luck to you, sir. Next up, I have Wilson Clark.
Yeah, you know something.
Good morning. Are you Mr. Clark? Are you Mr. Clark?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Clark, you're charged with one count of criminal trespass. Mr. Clark, I have imposed a special condition against you, and that's to stay away from the airport unless you are there for work or travel. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, based on the information I have before me, sir, I want to let you know that we are going to release you this morning. Now, that does not mean your case goes away. So whatever address you currently reside at, you need to make sure that we have that address on file, and that is your most up-to-date address. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Are you currently working?
I'm on, I work a little bit on the side and I'm on, Social Security.
Okay, so I've gone ahead and appointed you a lawyer who will be in touch with you, and because you are being released today, sir, obviously that means you will be waiving your preliminary hearing, okay?
Okay.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you. Very good.
Somebody got another, somebody got to take.
Next up should be D'Angelo Clemson. I have a D'Angelo Demetrius Clemson, C-L-I-M-P.
Yeah. Clemson, come on. Let's go to that.
Are you Mr. Clemson? Mr. Clemson, you're charged with one count of DUI that carries a bond amount of $5,000. You're charged with one count of distracted driving for a bond amount of $500, and one count of speeding, maximum limits, which carries a bond amount of $2,500. Your total bond is $8,000, sir. Based on what you provided, you do not qualify for an attorney. So if you would like an attorney on this case, you will have to hire your own. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, you are charged with misdemeanors, which, as I explained earlier, means you have a right to a preliminary hearing, sir, or you have a right to waive that hearing. How would you like to proceed this morning?
I actually have a question.
Yes, sir.
They already gave my bond and it's already paid.
Okay.
So,
If that's the case, then you should be released on it. So given that, do you want me to go ahead and put down that you waived it?
yes.
That you want to, okay. So I'm gonna put that you waived that right to the hearing, and I mean, if your bond's been paid, then you should be released shortly, sir.
Okay.
All right, good luck to you.
Yes, sir.
Next up should be then that Seneca Colbert. Are you Mr. Colbert?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Colbert, you're charged with one count of possession of a controlled substance for a bond amount of $8,000 and one count of possession of marijuana for a bond amount of $1,000. Your total bond is $9,000, okay? Now, based on what you provided, sir, I have appointed you a court-appointed lawyer. And because you are charged with a felony, your next court date will be your preliminary hearing, 12/13/23 at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Holland,
I have nothing else further, sir, unless you have questions. Good luck to you.
great.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Next up, I have Mr. Raphael Davey.
What is that?
Are you Mr. Davey?
Yes. It's Clemson.
Mr. Davey, you're charged with one count of public transit violation and one count of criminal trespass. Sir, we've had a chance to review your bond. We're going to release you this morning. However, please understand I am advising a special condition on your case, which is to stay away from the Atlanta airport unless you are there for business or work. Do you understand that?
Yes, absolutely.
I have gone ahead based on what the information you provided and appointed you a court-appointed lawyer. So a lawyer will be in touch with you after you're released. Do you understand?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. So make sure that on your way out that the address we have on file for you is your most recent address, okay?
Right.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
What was your name, sir?
Judge Thorpe,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Next up is Ralph Gentry. Are you Mr. Gentry?
Go ahead.
Are you Mr.
Hands behind your back. Go ahead.
Are you Mr. Gentry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Gentry, you're charged with one count of DUI less safe and one count of improper lane change. The DUI less safe carries a bond amount of $5,000. The improper lane change, a bond amount of $500 for a total bond of $5,500. Now, sir, based on the information you provided, you do not qualify for a lawyer, so I'm not going to be able to appoint you a lawyer this morning. However, because you're charged with misdemeanors, you have a right to that preliminary hearing I talked about, or you can waive that right. How would you like to proceed this morning, sir?
All right to do what, Your Honor? I'm sorry, cut that off.
You can waive your right to your preliminary hearing I mentioned earlier, or you can have your preliminary hearing.
I'm gonna get an attorney.
Okay.
What?
So let's do this. Since you're going to get an attorney, let's go ahead and have that hearing. At least I'll set it for you. It's going to be December 12th of this year at 8:30 a.m. and it's also going to be via Zoom, okay?
Yes, sir.
And if for some reason things change, just let your attorney know and he'll take care of that for you, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good luck to you.
All right, I'm gonna-
Next up, I have Marquise Antron Hill.
How you doing?
Are you Mr. Hill? Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hill, you're charged with one count of possession of violation of Georgia Controlled Substances for a bond amount of $8,000. You're charged with possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime for a bond amount of $15,000. You're charged with no tag and driving with the vision obstructed. They're both $500 apiece. You're charged with one count of VGCSA. This is the second count for a bond amount of $10,000. You're charged with a third count. This is possession with intent for a bond amount of $10,000. You're charged with drug-related objects for a bond amount of $500. And then lastly, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon for a bond amount of $8,000. If you give me one moment here. Your total bond amount, sir, is $47,000. Based on the information that you provided, sir, I am going to appoint you a lawyer this morning who will assist you in your case. You do have an upcoming court date. Your upcoming court date is going to be December 13th of 2023, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about anything, sir?
You said I had no tag. You got charged with tag.
Yes, sir. No tag light.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. All right, sir. Good luck to you.
Okay, before first.
Next up, I have Raymond Shaquille Holland. Are you Mr. Holland?
First.
Mr. Holland? Mr. Holland, you're charged with one count of driving with suspended license. Your bond amount is $1,500. You're charged with a second count of failure to yield. Bond amount is $500. You're then also charged with violation of a Georgia Controlled Substances Act pursuant to 17-10-1. Mr. Holland, I am not permitted to give you bonds, so you're on a no bond status. According to what I have, you're currently on probation out of Coweta County on a case you just pled to here in 2023. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
All right, sir. Now, because you're charged with the felonies here and you're on a no bond, you've got two court dates for you to keep in mind. The first one is going to be December 13th at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. The second is going to be December 15th at 8:30 a.m. and that's also going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that? All right, sir. Do you have any questions about anything?
Okay.
All right, sir. Good luck to you.
All right, go back to 4.
Next up, I have Corbin Kenneth McCray.
Yes.
Are you Mr. McCray?
Yes, sir.
Mr. McCray, you're charged with one count of simple battery family violence. The bond amount is $3,500. You do have special conditions, and those are to stay away from the victim or alleged victim, Rakia Tate. You are to stay away from the address of 2791 Riverview Place. So if you live there, sir, and you make your bond, please get with the sheriff's office and they will assist you in going there to get any items that may belong to you.
I do live there. She doesn't live there.
Okay, well, right now, I have to protect her, sir. And so if it turns out that she doesn't live there, then
She's already out the house. She's already gone.
okay, that's fine. So what's going to happen then is I am going to appoint you a lawyer. And so when you get that lawyer, that will be once you're out to discuss that with your lawyer and they can clear that up for you. But for now, to protect both you and she, I'm keeping you away from that address until it's amended at a later date. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
So again, you're to stay away from that address, 2791 Riverview, until this bond is amended. If you need anything, you go there with the police and the police only. I have appointed you a court-appointed lawyer. My last question for you, I discussed earlier the preliminary hearing right. Because you're charged with a misdemeanor, you have a right to that hearing or you can waive that hearing, sir. What would you like to do?
Set.
All right, so your hearing is going to be December 12th, 2023. It's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about anything, sir?
No, sir.
All right, sir. Good luck to you.
All right, thank you. All right, go back.
Thank you.
Work that elevator.
All right. Next up should be, I have Kenneth Ray Reed. Are you Mr. Reed?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Reed, you're charged with one count of simple assault and one count of criminal trespass. The simple assault carries a bond of $2,500. The criminal trespass carries a bond of $1,500 for a total bond of $4,000. You do have special conditions. Those are to stay away from Miss Ashley Reed and the address of 3970 Gatewood Circle. If in fact, sir, that is somewhere you reside, sir, please contact the sheriff's office upon your being released, and they will assist you in getting any items from that property. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, let me ask you, are you currently working?
Yes, I am.
How much are you making per month?
5,000 a month.
You said 5,000?
Yes.
Okay. So, sir, you do not qualify for a court-appointed lawyer. And so what that means is if you would like a lawyer to assist you in your case, you will have to acquire one on your own. Now, as far as your preliminary hearing, because you're charged with a misdemeanor, you have a right to have that hearing or waive that hearing. What would you like to do this morning? All right. So I'm putting down that you waive that hearing. That's all I have for you, sir, unless you have questions for me.
No, sir.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Next up, I have Maurice Michael Williams.
To the right. The last unit on the right.
Are you Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Williams, you're charged first with one count of cruelty to children in the third degree. Your bond amount on that misdemeanor is $3,500. You're also charged with one count of aggravated assault, strangulation, and one count of cruelty to children in the first degree. After a review of the alleged facts, sir, I am putting you on a no bond status for each of those felony charges. You do, however, if at some point that bond is modified, have special conditions. Those conditions will be to stay away from both alleged victims, Elijah Murray and Moriel Williams. You are also to stay away from the address of 6545 Altoona Road. So if in fact, sir, your bond is modified and you do make bond at a later date, you will have to get the sheriff's office to escort you to go down to that residence until this case is resolved. Do you understand?
No.
All right, tell me what you don't understand, sir.
It was 2 victims.
Yes, sir. The warrant says that you assaulted Ms. Williams in the presence of the second child, Mr. Murray, and so I'm putting in place that you can't have contact with either one of them.
And I have no bond?
No bond, sir. All right. So as of now, you will have 2 court dates, however. The first is going to be your preliminary hearing on December 13th at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Your second, however, will be a bond hearing. So they can reconsider your bond at that point. And that date will be December 15th, also this year, 2023, at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. All right, let me ask you one last thing, Mr. Williams. Are you working?
Probably not now. I don't have a bond, so I won't have a job.
Okay, what kind of work were you doing before?
Maintenance, apartment
Okay,
maintenance.
how much were you making per month?
Probably about 3,000, maybe, I guess, 3,500.
Okay. I mean, given where you are with this, I am going to go ahead and I'll appoint you a court-appointed lawyer here this morning to assist you. So you will be contacted with someone from the Clayton County Public Defender's Office on this case. Do you understand that, sir? Do you understand, Mr. Williams?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay. Tell me what's the problem, sir. You disagree with the bond amount, is what I understand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's the decision I've made, sir, based on what I've got in front of me. Your warrants are pretty horrendous allegations. You'll have a chance for your attorney to go over it with you. So right now, to protect you, we're not going to talk about the allegations. Do you understand, Mr. Williams? I don't want to get into too much detail because I'm recording this. Good luck to you, Mr. Williams. All right, Deputy. Deputy.
Yes.
All right, so the only people we should have remaining are the 4 Hispanic speakers, and then we tried to add those people from yesterday. Did they make it over? Darian Cannon, Javorio Cortez Goggins, Mr. Vincent, and Corey Goggins.
One second, John.
Uh-huh.
Yes, they intake, all them intake, all these areas.
I know you, they didn't make it over.
You said no?
They need interpreters and she need to interpret all of them.
Okay.
The ones you asked left, they didn't make it over here.
Okay. So then all we should have left are those Hispanics individuals that need interpreters. Is that correct? It should be four. I have Ingrid Espinoza. After Miss Espinoza, I have Antonio Herrera. After Antonio Herrera, I have Ender Ramirez. And after Mr. Ramirez, I have Martin Sosa Cruz.
Correct.
All right, and no one else is there with you, correct?
What else?
All right, if you just give me one moment, I'm gonna get the language line on the line.
All right.
And Deputy, if I could have up Miss Ingrid Espinoza. Deputy, can you all hear me? I'm sorry, Madam Interpreter, give me one moment.
Just see it. Judge.
Okay, all right, Madam Interpreter, if you will, I'm gonna swear you in first. Madam Interpreter, do you swear to the best of your ability to translate from English to Spanish and Spanish to English? All right, so if you would, ma'am, please introduce yourself to Miss Ingrid Espinoza.
Buenos días, seré su intérprete de español para todas las llamadas con orgullo servir.
Deputy, she might have to come up a little closer. I don't think she heard it.
No, I couldn't hear. So
Okay. All right, go ahead, Madam Interpreter.
Hola, buen día, seré su intérprete de español para todas las llamadas con orgullo servir.
Buenos días.
Okay. So Madam Interpreter, if you would tell Miss Espinosa that she is charged with 1 count of no license.
Oh, sorry, sir, one charge of?
One charge of driving without a license.
Debemos de la mano, thank you. Sí, señorita, a usted se le está acusando de manejar sin licencia.
Sí, así es.
Madam Interpreter, okay, Madam Interpreter, if you would let Miss Espinosa know that after reviewing her charges, we're going to release her. However, that does not mean that her case is going away. She is just being released from custody, so she needs to make sure that the jail has an accurate address for her when she leaves.
Ok, bien. Quiero que sepa que después de haber revisado la acusación, la van a liberar. Esto no quiere decir que su caso desaparezca, solo que la van a dejar de hacer. Y asegúrese de que la gente de la cárcel tenga una dirección exacta donde puedan dejarlo.
Sí, ellos ya pagaron el ticket. Me avisaron ayer hoy a las 2 de la mañana que estaban pagando el ticket y solo están esperando que yo salga.
I he was on my side, he was on the report, that's okay, that's just and they waiting for me to show up.
Okay. All right. Well, please let her know I have released her as well. So if it has been paid, either way, she will go home today.
Eso también se la liberé, así que de cualquier forma usted va a poder volver a casa hoy.
Ok, muchas gracias.
Tell her I said thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mr. Next up is Mr. Antonio Herrera.
Waiting, but she wait. No, she did not.
Let's just get out.
She did not.
All right. Madam Interpreter, please let Mr. Herrera know he is charged with running a red light and driving with no license.
Hola, buenas noches, con el gusto de servirle. A usted se le acusa de pasarse una luz roja y manejar sin licencia.
Es verdad.
Okay. Let him know that after reviewing his history, we are going to release him today. However, that does not mean his case is resolved or closed. So it's important that he leave the correct address so that they can send him his next court date in the mail.
Bien, revisaron su historial y usted va a ser liberado hoy, pero esto no quiere decir que su caso ha sido cerrado o lo que se ha caído. Así que usted cuando se vaya, asegúrese de dejarles la dirección correcta para que puedan decirle cuándo es su próxima cita en la corte.
Okay.
All right. Please let him know that's all I have for him and tell him good luck.
Eso es todo lo que tengo para usted y muchas gracias.
Mande.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Next up, I have Mr. Ender Ramirez. Madam Interpreter, please let Mr. Ramirez know that he is charged here with 1 count of driving with no license and 1 count of improper lane change.
I'm sorry, sir, what was the second one?
Improper lane change.
Thank you. Thank you. Señor, buen día, usted es intérprete. Usted está acusado de manejar sin licencia y cambio de carril inapropiado.
Sí, señora.
Please let him know that after a review of his criminal history, we are going to release him today. However, that does not mean his case is being dismissed. So he needs to make sure that upon his release, that we have the correct address on file to send him his next court date in the mail.
Después de haber revisado su historial criminal, lo vamos a dejar salir, pero esto no quiere decir que su caso deje de existir. Así que una vez que salga, asegúrese de que esté anotada su dirección correcta para poder enviarle su próxima cita con la corte.
Ah, sí, señora.
All right.
All right, thank you, sir. Last up should be Mr. Martin Sosa Cruz.
Excuse me, sir, do he need to sign a waiver?
All those that are being released, yes, I prefer to have them sign waivers, just so we got it on file. I mean, they're waiving it by being released, but just in case, yes, please. All right, this is Madam Interpreter, Mr. Cruz. If you would let him know that he is charged with 1 count of driving without a tail light and 1 count of driving with no license.
Hola, buen día, soy el intérprete de español. A usted, señor, se le acusa de manejar sin una luz trasera y manejar sin licencia.
Correcto.
Please let Mr. Cruz know that after review of his history, that we are releasing him today. However, that does not mean his case is closed. And so he needs to make sure that whatever address he has on file with the sheriff is the correct address so that he receives his next court date in the mail.
Sí, bien. Después de revisar su historial criminal, vamos a dejarlo salir hoy. Pero esto no quiere decir que tu caso esté cerrado. Por favor, cuando salga, asegúrese de que el sheriff tenga su dirección correcta para poder enviarle por correo su próxima cita con
Correcto.
Okay. All right. Well, tell him that's all I have for him and good luck to him.
Eso es todo lo que tengo para usted y muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
All right, Madam Interpreter, that's all I have. Deputies, I believe that's all we have. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct, sir.
All right. Thank you, Madam Interpreter.
Sir, hold on, sir, hold on. What, can you name all the people that needed a waiver?
So all 4 of the Hispanic individuals that we just went through.
Yeah, we got.
And then the female, I think we already got Miss Brown. One of the deputies asked about her earlier. And then let me get the others. Let's see.
Just trying to verify on our side.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. Let me see anybody else.
So before Hispanic, which we got that done.
Okay, and then it was Harriet Brown, I believe, which was already, I told them that one.
Harriet,
Wesley Brown, BROWN.
Wesley Brown.
Wilson Clark, CLARK.
Wilson Clark. Okay.
And let's see if that's it. Maybe Raphael Davy, DAVY.
All right. I'm running now.
Almost through here.
You fine, take your time.
Kenneth Reed, REID. And that is the last one.
All right, thank you, sir, so much.
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Thanks, Judge.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.